Hey, this is Stu, and we're here with the Purple Valley Asana School and with Joey Miles. And today we're going to look at Shalabhasana, which is one of the sort of postures at the beginning of the second series. The initiation of sort of easier back bends, isn't it, really?
That's right, yeah.
And so even though it looks sort of simple, because it's all down on the floor, there's lots of work to be going on, isn't there?
There's a few little tips. They're very, very simple. So this will just be a really short tutorial. But it's just really good to get clarity on particularly how to get the inner rotation of the thighs. So let's have a look. So if Rachel starts with the forehead down and the arms stretched back. So the first thing we're going to do, okay, I'm just going to talk you through like normal, Rachel, is keep the knees really, really straight, okay? Keep the feet on the floor, and then one leg at a time. You're just going to raise one leg just a tiny little bit. Okay, now from here, you're going to rotate the thigh bone in like that. Okay, when you rotate the thigh bone in and you put the foot back down, it often feels like you go down near the little toe. Okay, so do that with the other leg. Lift, doesn't need to be high. So when you're lifting the leg, just do it one more time. Literally a couple of centimeters from the floor, and then the skin here, the outer thigh goes down. And again, what that does is it creates a broadening here and a broadening here. Okay, if you were to do the opposite, you'll find you get a pinching in this part and a pinching in this part. So we want to avoid outer rotation. So in other words, we're not doing this, which creates that pinching there. Instead, there's a broadening aspect. Now, what happens is when you've done that one at a time and that's rotated this way, the heels will be wider. So we're not going to worry about feet together. We're just going to keep the feet slightly apart. Now, the next thing we do, having lifted one at a time and rolled in, okay, we're going to push the pubic bone down. So you'll actually feel here the coccyx goes deeper into the body and there's a slight tone to the buttocks. Here the gluteal crease will slightly grip. Okay, so maintain the pushing down near the pubic bone, maintain the inner rotation of the thighs, and now keep your feet on the floor and just lift your chin, lift your chest. So when Rachel lifts, she can stretch the arms back more. That's it. Keep the back of the hands touching, and these spinal muscles, they engage to lift you up. So the chin goes up. Now if that's comfortable, great. And you can then lift the feet a tiny little bit. When you lift the feet, they don't go very high. You can have your big toe joints touching, but keep the heels apart. By keeping the heels apart, then you're insisting on the inner rotation of the thigh. So it's the insisting of the inner rotation of the thigh that's very important, and it's the activation of this part, just slightly. You don't have to grip the buttocks like crazy, but that's the important part, and then come down. Now we're going to repeat that again. This time we're going to add the second hand position, okay? So I'm just going to reiterate it so you can join in if you want to or watch until you've learnt these actions. Just get that ant off you. Okay. So one leg at a time, lift one leg. Okay. Rotate the leg in. Okay. Lift the other leg. Rotate the leg in. It can be really helpful to have a partner to actually help move the legs, to literally move the flesh there. Okay. Now again, tone here, so you push, and you can see there'll be some work at the buttocks.
Yeah.
Some people get very obsessed about relaxation of the buttocks in back bends. I disagree with that point, so I think this needs to be toned. Okay, maintain the tone here, maintain the tone there. Now lift the legs, that's it, lift the chest, that's it, keep breathing, stretch the arms back. Now, it's 5 breaths, you know, second hand position. Now here the hands touch, but it's like they're on a cushion of air. The elbows come back because then you contract here at the lower trapezius and the rhomboid. So this region brings you back and then the chest goes up. Now the exit of the pose, straighten the arms, you go straight up. Okay, so you don't come down and then go up.
So you don't go down and then up, you go straight in.
So go back to downward dog. So if we just reiterate what the vinyasa is now that we know it. So we just say Chatwari. Chatwari is basically a press up position, Chaturanga. You inhale here in Chaturanga, and then exhale down. The inner rotation of the thighs is done very quickly, it's almost imperceptible, and then Pancha, we're doing the pose. 1, looking to the nose, which is essentially down and forward. 2, 3, see how she's keeping the heels wide to maintain the inner rotation. 4, 5, second hand position, B, doesn't actually have a number, it's still just Pancha. 2, keep breathing. 3, she's maintaining the tone there, she's maintaining the inner rotation. 4, 5, shut, inhaling, Sapta, exhaling.
And Rachel kept her legs really lovely and straight,
really
didn't she?
Straight, yeah. It's really essential to be really, really straight. The great thing, you can rest now, the great thing about doing Shalabhasana and getting the inner rotation of the thigh, making the leg very active, is it makes the upward facing dog much, much better. Yeah. So I often teach students this, not necessarily in sequence, but to improve the, to improve the upward dog. Yeah. And it's the same thing about pushing. Obviously the pubic bone won't be down in upward dog, but you need to maintain that, that holding of the coccygeal muscles. That's a really sort of vital aspect of doing upward dog well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there's one more point I'm going to show you for Shalabhasana, because when I say to people rotate the legs in, often what happens is they move the ankle, and not the thigh.
Yeah.
So Rachel, just come forward for a moment. We're just going to deliberately sort of show you the common mistake. Now it's quite tricky to just rest. It's quite tricky to see what's going on because you can't see your legs, they're behind you. But if you just raise this leg a little bit. Now when people rotate the leg in, they often do this with the ankle, you see, and they mistake that ankle movement for inner rotation of the thigh. Now in actual fact the thigh's gone in a little bit, but all we've done really is we've moved the ankle a lot, you see. So actually we do have to make the inner ankle long, okay? Particularly, you see people doing upward dog with the feet like this. I have a tendency to do that if I don't correct it. So what we can do to help each other, okay, go back to neutral, okay, is feel that you're on the centre part of the metatarsals here. So you feel the middle part on the ground, okay. Raise one leg up again, okay. Now at this point here, she's actually already doing it, but what I often have to do is I have to pull this part here to lengthen, okay, and then I place it down. Same thing with the other leg, lift. So I'm literally moving, I'm lengthening here from the big toe joint, this part I pull that way. So I'm almost shortening, taking the little toe side of the foot that way. Does that make sense?
But still trying to get the medial rotation of the hip.
Exactly, so we're interested in the thigh bone moving, keeping the inner ankle long. That way the inner leg here is very long.
Yeah.
Okay, so we find that length to the inner legs, and that way it becomes spinal. Okay, so just this ankle position is important, then everything else is the same. Okay, so we just leave it there, I think, for now.
Just one other thing,
Yeah.
you know me, I never just leave it there. Sorry, Nick. Just the positioning of the hands as well, when you place it in the B part.
Oh, yeah. So, Rachel, go up for a moment. Just go straight to B, lift your legs, lift your... That's it. So the most common mistake people have here, there's two things that happen. Hands tend to be too far forward. People often do this. And elbows tend to be like this, okay? If the hands come further back, you can basically think of hands being directly under the elbow.
Nice.
That's the most useful thing to think. Okay. There's a variation as well. Hook your thumbs behind you and stretch. I often include this, which isn't a technically correct variation, but this creates the action at the shoulder blades. I sometimes go from, so go to A, put hands in normal position, do that other variation again. That often creates more lift in the chest, but she had it already. And then I go to the B position.
B.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
The other thing to think about is here, transition to upward dog. You shouldn't have to move the hands or slide forward.
Okay.
So if your hands are too forward in that second variation, you'll find you're moving your hands to go to upward dog, but that shouldn't have to happen.
But for those people, I'm just thinking of myself in that position that's got a much stiffer back.
Yeah.
If I push to up dog from the hands back here, my shoulders would probably land up in front of my wrists.
That's true. You're going to need to be further forward.
I think so.
Yeah.
So you might have
so
to play
let's show
with
us. Stu, you do it. Okay.
I can feel my back creaking as I'm beginning to...
No, but it's important to see. So Stu doesn't have the openness of the spine that Rachel does. So if you just do A.
So here we are, A.
And he's up. Good. Go to B. Yeah, you see your hands can be further forward.
Yes, if I push the up dog from here...
It's not going to feel good for you there. Yeah, sure. So
it's not as far forward as I thought, but it's still a bit too far forward.
Sure.
Shoulder-wise. So I would probably have to just move them forward a little bit before from here maybe, I would just creep.
Or you could do it there in the first place would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So of course, you know, the thing that this illustrates is different bodies have different proportions,
exactly.
and therefore there's no one correct way.
No. It's the main thing is to be comfortable, but feel the back working,
exactly.
but not that you're squashing and crunching everything.
The other thing I'll just make as a final point for Shalabhasana is, I think a common error is people, and it's because some people do this beautifully, but a lot of people think they're trying to lift the legs as high as they can. Yeah. And I always think of it as just long. You know.
Pardon me.
So just think of length from the head to the feet. Maintain the length rather than trying to be high. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. There you go. Have a play.
Great. Enjoy.